Hello, friends. Welcome to another Fireside Chat, the first Fireside Chat of this new year, 2021. I want to thank my wife Esther for producing this session, and each and every one of you for allowing us into your home and into your hearts as we have this midweek gathering here at the United Church of Dorset and East Rupert. And how appropriate that we begin with the dulcet tune of Auld Lang Syne. And I thought that it would be fun to hear the history of this ubiquitous song that always helps welcome in the new year. Auld Lang Syne has been welcoming people into New Year's for centuries and centuries. Indeed, it is one of the most familiar tunes in the entire world. For years it was thought that the Scottish poet laureate Robbie Burns authored the lyrics and wrote the tune. But scholarship has found that it is more likely that Burns found this song in Scottish folk culture. And it was first put to print as he sent a copy of it to the Scots Museum of Music in 1788. And he attached this memo. The following is a song from the olden times. Indeed, that's a loose English translation of the old Scots dialect for old time's sake, Auld Lang Syne. It became a custom throughout the British Empire that each year on New Year's Eve, or as the Scots celebrated, Hogmanay, which means the last day of the year. But singing it has grown enormously to accompany endings and beginnings of many, many kinds. And so it is heard at graduations, at funerals, at cotillions, and other occasions of major transitions in life. And why not? Auld Lang Syne offers a sound advice about moments such as this. It begins with a key question. Is it right and fitting that old times be forgotten? And it calls us to reminisce with nostalgia, as well as enter the future with hope and friendship, to share a cup of kindness, to realize that we've come this far together, and so let's continue on our journey into the future. So here's a hand, my trusty friend, and lend a hand to thine. Let's toast to it for goodness sake, for Auld Lang Syne. But I need to say something separate about the tune of Auld Lang Syne from the words. That tune has become even more global, I dare say, than the words. George Cohan used it as part of You're a Grand Old Flag. Sousa used it as a march for an artillery company. The University of Virginia uses it as their song of their alma mater. British trench soldiers used it to sing, "We're here because we're here, because we're here, because we're here." In the Netherlands, it's the tune for a Dutch football song. In Bangladesh, it is the tune of an old folk song. In Thailand, it is the tune of a song of national unity. In Japan and elsewhere, it is the tune that lets customers know that restaurants and department stores and bars are about to close. And, believe it or not, for 3 years it was the tune for the South Korean national anthem. Clearly, Auld Lang Syne has a life and magic of its own, and we soak it in this evening for Fireside Chat. Let's begin with some announcements for this start of a new year. First of all, this being the first Wednesday of a new month, I share with you the hindsight and pastoral statistics of last month. So for house calls, I conducted 66 of them, nearly all of them outside on a deck or on a porch or on the front stoop of a house. There were 0 hospital visits, as the local hospitals and nursing homes are still yet not allowing me in. There was 1 counseling session. There were 4 meetings, all held on Zoom. There were 4 teaching groups, likewise, all of them conducted on Zoom. And for special events this last month, there was 1 funeral. I did a lecture for the new PPP program, the Pastoral Preparation Program. And as many of you well know, we had a living nativity this year on Christmas Eve. And let me talk to that living nativity. We had a committee that was hard at work, and I want to thank Cliff White for constructing our lean-to creche, which served to keep our living characters, all part of the Emery family, cozy and dry on that rather rainy, drizzly Christmas Eve. I want to thank Ken and Ely Norman for providing the living donkeys, but because a bad rainstorm and windstorm was predicted for Christmas Eve, that canceled out all of our sheep and all of the horses that we were planning to have. I also want to give heartfelt thanks to Tom Salmon, who conducted all of the broadcasting that people were able to hear as they slowly drove around the curved driveway that the Raspays generously let us use for this special event. And I want to thank Esther Gray and Alex Gray for helping do all of the setup on Christmas Eve day of the actual creche and the hay and getting things all set for the 40-plus cars and many, many people who drove around to enjoy the living nativity on Christmas Eve. In the month of December, we were saddened by the death of Millie O'Leary, truly one of the backbone members of our Dorset Church congregation, and she had a family-only graveside service on Friday, December 4th. And be assured there are plans for a community-wide memorial service later in the year. I want to speak to my role in the Southwest Association. I am chair of the Southwest Committee on Ministry, and we are in charge of giving good standing to licensed ministers and ordained ministers, but we are also the sponsoring body of the PPP program. We have put together a very creative and in-depth training program for all of the licensed ministers in the Southwest Association, and we have a new class of 12 of them who are starting to prepare and starting to train for that important position. And during the entire fall, we had introductory lectures of the different pieces of this PPP program, and I was responsible in December for giving the introductory lecture for pastoral care and pastoral visiting. Later on, we hope as early as this spring, we will be able to have in-person classes that will train all the different aspects that we consider important to be a licensed pastor to one of our congregations, and also to fill the pulpits in need in the Southwest Association. We continued through the month of December taping our Sunday morning YouTube worship services. And we dearly want to thank Joe DeFelice for continuing with his videography. But we're also thankful to Bob Mazzaros, who has been learning on our new Dorset Church video camera and has helped during the month of December, especially when Joe was suddenly called away. I also give heartfelt thanks to Reverend Skip Dickinson for designing all of our worship service bulletins, and for licensed minister Jane Labruto for helping with our congregational prayers. And of course, always deep thanks to Tom Salmon for his wonderful ministry of music. And in December, we concluded on the very last Sunday of the month with our traditional lessons and carols service that has always been so wonderfully appreciated by this congregation. December, as always, sees one of our greatest mission efforts called Community Sharing Project. But this year, obviously, because of the pandemic, it was not able to occur in exactly the same style. But we do thank that core group of hard-working women who start in early September, planning detail after detail and contacting all of the families who are recipients of the food and the new boots and coats and the gifts for Christmas, and all of the outreach that is a part of this major program that helped to bring an abundant Christmas to more than 150 families. And we also want to thank all of the corps of engineers on Distribution Day who enabled all the recipient families to simply drive up to the church, none of whom got out of their cars, and received all of the abundant things that community sharing gives. And in fact, the feedback from the success of this year's program is that there are lots of things we learned that we might perpetuate in the future to make community sharing as efficient as it was this year. I want to thank Esther for producing all of our fireside chats for the month of December, and we look forward to continuing them in the new year. And as many of you participated in, the fireside chat for preceding Christmas Eve was held over until Christmas Eve, and it included, as part of my homily, the contemporary Christmas story, The Man Who Missed Christmas by Edgar Park. And we concluded that fireside chat, as every Christmas Eve service does, with part of the lighting of the very last candle of our Advent wreath, the Christ candle. And I want to thank my son Alex and my son-in-law Ben, and their new baby boy Ian for leading us in that precious lighting of the Christ candle. Prayer group continued every Friday morning up until the Friday before Christmas. And we met on telephone at 9:30, and I facilitated all of the group contributions to create a communal prayer. And I also want to thank Equinox Village for allowing me to still come once a month into their facility and to have a prayer group and to offer a brief homily and to build community in these challenging times in that wonderful residential place. And early in the month of December, we were able to have our last 2 Bible study Zoom sessions as we concluded our study on the household codes of the New Testament. And we learned a great deal about those codes. We saw them in contrast to the Roman Greco codes that have undergirded those societies for centuries and centuries before Christianity. And Christianity took those codes and adapted them to help revolutionize Roman society from the inside out. And so they started by changing the life of the family and the household in that society. We also have a couple of other announcements to share. This coming Friday, January 8th, we commence another season of Faith Inside. We will be studying the book and discussing it. Everything Happens for a Reason by Kate Bowler. And copies are available of the book here at the church office for $12 a piece. And call and reserve a copy. Bible study will resume next Wednesday, January 13th at 5 o'clock. Once again, we will be studying on Zoom. I will be beginning every session with our communal prayer, as I always do. But we have a guest presenter, Reverend Holly Ross, who will be leading the Bible study on the book of Esther. And we hope that as many of you will tune in and see and enjoy her scholarship and leadership. And this coming Sunday is the Sunday of Epiphany. And we have a wonderful tradition started years and years ago of everyone receiving a star. And on that star is a spiritual discipline. And we want to have you choose a star yet again this year by calling the office, and Jane will send you a star. And we hope that you will send in your stories and your thoughts and your meditations on your Epiphany star, and we will broadcast them from our Dorset Church website. I want to present this homily for this first Fireside Chat of the year 2021. And so it is New Year resolution time once again. And this year, some of the most popular ones are exercising to get in shape, dieting to lose weight, saving money and living by a budget, eating healthier, stopping smoking, spending more time with family. Most resolutions are about how people want to improve their lives, and it's always my prayer that they are blessed with success. But I think Jesus has some resolutions for us too. He has a list of improvements found in the Gospel of Luke. One day Jesus gathered 70 of his followers, whom he wanted to send out as his ambassadors. But before they left, he gave them a pep talk. And in his words are the makings of 3 great resolutions, not just for a better year, but to help make us better persons. First, Jesus told them this. He said to them, "Go on your way, carry no purse, no bag, no sandals." Aren't these curious words? Obviously, not a great packing list for a vacation. How could these words make for a good New Year's resolution? Many Bible scholars debate what they mean. Are purse and bag and sandals meant to be symbolic? Or did Jesus mean it literally so that his ambassadors would be needing and dependent upon others? But I have another option. Let's look at this literally and symbolically. And then we can come up with something that sounds like a really great New Year's resolution. Don't take things personally. Isn't that what Jesus is asking? And isn't that a common problem worth improving? Are you a person that takes things personally? Do you get defensive whenever you're criticized? When getting feedback about something you've done, do compliments fade and criticisms haunt you and hurt you? In conversations, do you blurt in with a personal story of your own that trumps what the other person is saying? We are surrounded by lousy role models for this behavior, and we should realize that extreme version of taking things personally is narcissism. Many people think that taking things personally is a way to improve oneself. But actually, the opposite is happening. Because taking things personally is a sign of low self-esteem. And when you are taking things personally, over and over, you are simply fortifying that low self-esteem. But, more importantly, as an ambassador for Jesus, when you are taking things personally, you aren't giving of yourself personally. You aren't fully present, and thus neither is Jesus. A second resolution found in these words. He said, "Greet no one on the road." Again, curious words. Words that sound very unlike Jesus. It doesn't seem like him to recommend that his followers be unfriendly. So let's try to see these words from another angle, and then they start to make an excellent New Year's resolution. Don't be a gossip. There's consistent condemnation in the Bible against gossip. In Proverbs, it says, "A dishonest man spreads strife, and a whisperer separates close friends." In the Epistle of James, it says, "Those who consider themselves religious, but do not keep a tight rein on their tongues, deceive themselves, and their religion is worthless." And in Leviticus we read, "Do not go about spreading rumors. Do nothing that endangers your neighbor." Could there be a better New Year's resolution for our time? It used to be that gossiping took place out on the road of life, spread by word of mouth, but nowadays it takes place on the internet highway, and rumors get multiplied at a staggering pace, endangering not just one's neighbor, but truth as we know it and democracy as we cherish it. I don't know precisely what it is that lures so many people to making their opinions so public. But let us remember one of the key teachings of Jesus. God sees in secret, knows in secret, and rewards in secret. A great resolution for this year for millions of people is don't gossip. A third resolution is found in these words, where he says, whatever house you enter, say peace to this house. If anyone there shares your peace, there it shall rest. If not, let it return to you. In a society so filled with anger, judgment, and divisiveness, could there be a better resolution, not just for this year, but for the rest of our lives and for all of society? Lead with peace, live by peace. Imagine policing in our country if it were guided by lead with peace, live by peace. Imagine if we chose our political leaders, our friends, our spouses, guided by the code, lead with peace, live by peace. Imagine if we all paid less attention to our grudges and lived by the mantra, lead with peace, live by peace. My Lord, what a different year 2021 would be from 2020. What a different nation we would be. What a different direction the future would take. And so, friends, in closing, I find it so ironic that the more this pandemic has forced us to stay home, the more it has sent us on a journey of heart, a journey of mind, a journey of soul. And on this journey, Jesus gave 3 great recommendations. Don't take things personally. Don't gossip. Lead with peace and live by peace. And so I want to offer this closing prayer that I have adapted for this first Fireside Chat, January 6th, 2021. Let us pray. O God, grant me your sense of timing. In this season of short days and long nights, of gray and white and cold, teach me the lessons of beginnings, that waitings and endings can be starting places, times of seed planting, which eventually bring new birth of something better, something healed, something just and more faithful, and not just different. O God, grant me your sense of timing, that I may love you more faithfully and live more faithfully. Amen. And may the peace and love of the Lord be with you all, this Fireside Chat and forevermore. Amen.